Good afternoon, everyone, and I call the meeting to order of the City of Frankfort Board of Commissioners December work session. Today is December 8th. It's 3 p.m. And I'll ask our Madam Clerk to call for the roll, please.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Unger?
Here.
Commissioner May?
Here.
Commissioner Smith-Willis?
Here.
Mayor Wilkerson?
Present. And first on the agenda tonight, we have a special ceremonial and recognition segment. Today we have the Frankfort Parks and Recreation Department here. Our Parks Department has been honored with the Outstanding Department Class 3 award by the Kentucky Recreation and Parks Society at its annual state conference and trade show at General Butler State Park last month, I believe. And I'll ask our Parks Director, Sean Pickens, to approach the podium.
Thank you very much. I'll keep this brief. We have a lot of our members of the Parks Department. These are most of our full-time staff is here, and these are the ladies and gentlemen that make it all happen behind the scenes. They're the ones out in the snow and the hot and the heat and everything else. So this award is because of them. So I wanted to get as many of them as I could here tonight. They're extremely hardworking. They have a thankless job, and so this award is for them, and we really appreciate all they've done. It's a team effort to get this award, and we're very proud and privileged, and very excited to get this. You have to be nominated, by your peers in the state, and then it goes to a committee. There's multiple parks directors and park professionals from all across the state. I think the award committee head is from Paducah, is the park director from Paducah, Kentucky. So then there's just various ones. There's different people on this committee. And then they go through all the nominations, and then they go through and vote and select and determine the different award winners. So there's 4 classes, and we're class 3. And it's based on the size of the department. So the more employees you have and the bigger the city or county department that you have, the higher the class that you are. So there's 4 total. So we're class 3. So again, it was a total team effort, and we're very proud of the department and these ladies and gentlemen right here that make it all happen. Also, Public Works and sewer, everybody in the city, helps make parks happen too. I mean, we've got multiple projects right now with Public Works, at Riverview that are currently in the work. So it's just not the Parks Department, it's the entire city, because everybody pitches in to help us, So that being said, we appreciate it, and just wanted to let you all know how proud we are of the group, and how proud I am of the Parks Department, and the future is extremely bright. So thank you.
And thank you, Sean. Would anybody like to say anything, or Commissioner May?
Well, obviously, congratulations. I will say, I had a meeting with Mr. Pickens on Friday and City Manager Monroe, and one of the things I mentioned when we were leaving that was how blessed and fortunate I felt to live in our community and have a park system like we have. I still am surprised. I was given the story about when I moved to Indian Hills about 5-6 years ago, and learned about the Blackberry Meadow Loop part of Cove Spring. I've lived here all my life and never really utilized that section of the park. And it's become an amazing asset to me because I can walk down there with my kids and my dog, and we can enjoy that park and walk down in spots you don't even feel like you're in Frankfort anymore. And I think some of us take those things for granted, but most of us that live here, one of the reasons we've chosen to live here and continue to live here is because of what you all do and the quality of life and amenities that you provide for us. So thank you very much, and keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith-Willis.
I also just want to say congratulations. Just to echo Commissioner May, there's just some things that we do take for granted. Like when I walk around town with my son, I think it's just, you enjoy it, but you don't think about the people that contribute all the work to upkeep the community and the things that, we utilize for just a quality of life. So I just want to say congratulations and thank you all, and you're appreciated. So thanks.
Commissioner Richardson.
I'll echo everything said. I love it. I travel quite a bit. I travel all around the state. I travel out of the state. Our parks are second to none. And I'm very competitive. There's a young man in the audience has known me since he's been young, but You are Class 3A state champion. Gotta say it, I gotta say it. 3A
There you go.
state champion, right?
That's
I
right.
felt bad, Frank County, Coach Eddie,
Yeah,
could
that was
pull it
tough.
off.
That was tough.
But you know what? We did bring home a state championship right here. It's a
good way to look at
City
it.
of Frankfort,
Yeah, we did.
congratulations.
Thank you.
That should be bigger.
Yeah, it should be. It should be.
And I'll say, I would have liked to have been at that, but that was the same night the Singing Bridge open house was scheduled. So we
Understandable.
needed to be there. But
Understandable.
I do want to say, though, that I'm speaking for myself, but probably some of the rest of the commission, and that is that quality of life is one of the main things we can focus on. Public safety's, I think, number one, and then it's the quality of life. It's parks. So I know in 2026, we've got some big things in front of us. We're going to make big investments in the park. So since you're all right here, just know that we support you. We're behind you, and we want to make our park second to none. And, well, it sounds like we already are in the Class 3. Thank you all for being here.
T-shirts.
They're in the works. They're in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't in the budget, sorry.
Do you all want to do a picture?
Talk to
up there?
Amber.
If you want to.
Would you all mind coming up to take a picture?
It is all in there.
State champs.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell you your mic was off, but I don't think you needed it. I love it. The energy.
You're gonna have to. Yeah. No, I need you to get closer to get.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't wanna block anybody.
I'll go back.
I still think Rain's Amber. I mean, we could go to Walmart and get some.
Thank you.
I know. Congratulations, Mom. Yes, sir. Hey. T-shirt.
Thank you.
What you said you
No, it's okay.
Commissioner.
It's okay.
At least a plaque. At least
They know how I feel.
how about a
Oh, what'd you skip?
No, I love them.
something in the,
My phone was in my back pocket the whole time.
It would be cool
I
if
didn't
the
feel
entrance
it.
of the park said that.
yeah.
Recipient of.
Hey, Christine, go lighter. Just mention it on the website.
Okay. Thank you all for being here. We'll move on to the rest of the agenda as everyone clears out. We do have citizens' comments, and we have one. And I'll ask you to come to the podium, Jim Jackson. And please state your name. Please state your name. We'll give you 5 minutes, and we'll follow up with any questions or discussion if needed.
My name is Jim Jackson. I'm here on behalf of the Franklin County Emergency Food Pantry Board. And before I go any further, I want to say congratulations to the Parks Department. That's a neat and wonderful award, and I too have enjoyed the parks in this community. We just finished a very important weekend, 3-day event, and there are people in this room that played a very important role. And I want to start out with thanking Mayor Wilkerson. You spent a few hours in front of Kroger, the city commissioners for your support and encouragement, and to Chief Napier and his officers. Chief Napier, you made a big difference in your officers, and I knew they made a big difference when I was standing out in front of Kroger, and I had 2 or 3 instances when I'd go to take the food or money, and I'd reach out, and they'd pull it away from me and go around me because they wanted to give it to the officer. I don't know whether they want to be remembered or what, but we so much appreciate, and it did make a big difference. This is our biggest food drive for the community, and it's, you know, we hope we got enough food maybe to last us 3 months if we're fortunate. Just to give you some idea, we had over 25,000 pounds of food. That's pretty significant in the 3 days. And there's over $5,000 of just cash donated. And I think that really, well, and approximately, it took 150 volunteers, about 150 volunteers to pull this off for 3 days. And again, you folks played a very important role. But I think it verifies something that everyone in this room already knows. We have a generous community. I mean, just, you know, you almost want to cry sometimes when some of these folks pull out some money and you know they don't have it to spend. And I had 2 or 3 instances where they'd roll a big cart up filled with food, and they'd reach in and take 2 bags for themselves and say the rest of it's for the pantry. And if that doesn't affect you, nothing will. Just so, I don't know how much you know about us, and I'm not going to spend just for a second here, but we have no paid staff, and we're proud of that. But it takes over 50 volunteers to pull this off, giving food every day. And we also have about a $200,000 budget. That's not easy to pull off in a year by a board. About half of the $200,000 comes from our food drives, and the other half comes from just generous donations made by lots and lots of individuals and churches and different organizations. We also provide food for Salvation Army. I don't know if everyone knew that, but it keeps us busy. Just to give you some, I looked at some data right before I came, and it looks like so far in this year, we've served somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 persons. Could be adults or children. And I know when I met with Mayor Wilkerson, something I wanted to share, and we're called the Franklin County Emergency Food Pantry. But close to 70% of the people we serve live in the city. And so how we get that, we go through ROSM. So ROSM determines their address and then forwards those names to us. One thing we also do that I'm very proud of, people have small children, some of the babies. And we don't have food there that would typically serve infants or smaller. So we give a $35 voucher for families that have children 5 or below. And so far, we spent over $17,000 just giving vouchers to those families. So anyway, the board wants to just say to all of you, and certainly Chief Napier and your officers, how much we appreciate it, and just to let you know, you made a difference. And we'll do this again next year, and we hope we can call on you again. Thank you.
And thank you. Now keep up the good work.
Yeah.
And now we'll go to staff reports.
First up in staff reports, we have Chief Napier on an update on the MOUs for the shooting range. We sent this MOU out, the draft out to you all for review over the weekend, so hopefully you had a chance to review that, and Chief Napier should have kind of discussed that, any changes you all request.
Hello. Yeah, I believe you all have a copy of it. The update is we do have the MOU drafted for you all to review. If you all are okay with it, it looks good as is, we'll go on and start getting this sent out to agencies immediately. We've given a few of them a heads up. Hey, there's an MOU that's going to be on the way. Some other things that we've done is, the 2026 calendar had started filling up some time ago. We reviewed that. We've actually blacked out Sundays altogether. Like, we've blocked that off to where we're not going to schedule anybody on Sundays. Also, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, we're going to make sure that there's nobody on the range on those days, where other agencies can't schedule that out, because that has happened in the past. I don't think Christmas Eve and Christmas has happened, but I think Thanksgiving has. So we're gonna, block those out to where they can't schedule those dates. But really, that's the update for now, is we have the MOU drafted. If you all are okay with it as written, then the next step is just send it to everybody.
Commissioner Smith-Willis.
Thank you for providing us a copy of this. I looked through it. I think it looks great. I also just wanted to echo what I said at the last meeting, just for transparency purposes. I do think this is a really good step in terms of responsibility and accountability in the future instances, and just putting us on the right page. as a city, just to make sure that we're holding people responsible. But also at the same time, I appreciate the blackout periods. I think we're reaching a really nice common ground in terms of what the community is asking for. But then also at the same time, just to make sure everybody knows, I was not trying to stop any training in the meantime. So I do appreciate you working on this, and the staff working on this quickly. Hopefully, their offices can get it back to us as quickly as possible, so we don't have any stalls in training, because we also don't want that to happen as well. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate the meeting us in the middle on the blackout period, so people can enjoy their Sundays and their holidays without hearing gunshots. So thank you.
Commissioner May.
Thank you very much, Chief Napier. I've got a question as far as the agencies that use the facility with the MOU, just kind of the technicality side of getting things back. Well, we have an email of the list of the agencies that go there. Will KSP be able to do one MOU and kind of blanket all the other agencies that fall under them, like the Police Academy, Executive Security, Special Response Team, or will they all individually, each unit, have to sign an MOU? Do we know yet?
I believe all of KSP would be fine. I mean, that's one department. It's different. I don't know what they call it, but kind of like what we would do. That's a division within one agency. So if the commissioner signs it, I think we're good for KSP
Okay.
with that.
Yeah, I was
that one
more
signature.
wondering about, on the back end, if we're managing 14 or 15 or 18 different MOUs, or just kind of, they all get lumped into the one. Okay, thank
Right.
you.
Commissioner Unger.
I had one question on the MOU. I appreciate discussing of the blocked out dates. It's not listed on the MOU, right?
No, that's the
Okay.
scheduling on our side
Okay.
of it. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. And then, some of the agencies that are using this really probably have, bigger budgets than we do. So as far as, financial ask of the agencies, we don't really have that in these draft MOUs, do we? Okay.
No.
We left it as is with the understanding that you all may
Okay.
want to think about that.
Okay, thank you.
The one part that is in the MOU is it does say that the scheduling will only be available, I believe, Monday through Saturday. That is listed in the
Oh,
MOU.
Yeah.
Commissioner Richardson.
Chief, thanks. Appreciate this. I think I spoke before, I actually spoke to the League of Cities prior to our meeting. I used to inspect ranges contractually for the league. So Brian Nunn and I talked. Our range has always been one of the best ranges. In fact, a little history on our range. Our range, the reason you have all these entities that use our range is because how nice it is, where it's located. This is something that I know when I was at the police department, these relationships we fostered, I could call Chief Sanders tomorrow and say, if we need 12 officers for something that was going on, he'd send 20. Same thing with Commissioner Burdette, and the list goes on and on. These agencies, I can tell you, the few times that we've had, luckily, not an active shooter. I know Christmas Eve one year, if you remember, we had one. We had, I would estimate 150 law enforcement on scene within 5 minutes at CHR. A lot of that goes with these relationships that we have and how we train. Now, I know our police department trains with quite a few of these entities. Case in point, Norris Tactical, I know SRT as well. One thing I do want to point out, something I'm very proud of, I just taught 2 weeks ago with a trooper, a friend of mine, I'm not going to say his name. He's involved in 3 shootings, 1 fatal. He learned his shooting skill and tactical skills on our range. Saved his life. He has 2, like I said, 2 children and a wife. This is something I'm proud of, that our city, we can say, hey, we helped the Commonwealth, people throughout the Commonwealth, especially we're the capital city. This is the way we should be doing business, is helping other law enforcement entities. No different than if Parks needed something, if we need to share something with the county or an adjoining county with Parks. So I thank you for putting this together. The MOU looks good. I'm looking forward to continuing these relationships.
Thank you.
And I would ask, is there a way to, the hours are 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Now, obviously, 10 p.m. in the summertime's a little different than 10 p.m. when the sun goes down at 5:30. Is there any way to take that into account? It sounds different at 9 p.m., and it's just because it's been dark for longer. Or the Monday through Saturday, is there any way to compress this so that we don't have, I guess is there a way to shorten that schedule because it's not being used every single day, right?
Right.
So could they work around our preference instead of us working around their preference?
The
other
7 a.m.
agencies?
to 10 p.m., it was actually different than that in the original MOU that we went back to from years ago. I actually changed it to 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. so it reflects the ordinance, which we're actually exempt from. In the ordinance, police training is exempt, but just so it would mirror the ordinance, the noise ordinance, I changed the hours to 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., just so we would be on par with the rest of the noise ordinance for the city of Frankfort. We're required to do nighttime qualifications. That's part of it. We try to schedule those, and most agencies do, in the fall or winter because it just gets dark earlier, so you're not there as late. Where we do have some training academies that uses our range, I mean, those run year-round, and there's going to be times that they're just going to have to shoot at night, closer to, between that 9 and 10 mark, just because they have to run a training academy in the summer. They have to spend some time on the range doing low light shooting, and that's just when it's going to fall in. So we can't change that a bunch, I don't think.
So I understand you need to shoot at night, but it gets dark in 5:30 or 6 p.m. and this time of year. So is there any way we can, in certain seasons, make it?
End it
I guess we
earlier?
adapt this schedule to make it more, I guess, resident and business and worker friendly in this area. That's the only concern. We know we need the range for our police departments and
Right.
for the public's. If the public didn't know, there's 18 agencies using our shooting range. And it's not just our city police department. It's not just Franklin County Sheriff. It's not just KSP. It's other organizations that don't have officers here in Frankfort. And I think that's part of that was the original intent of this. And then we uncovered that we don't have MOUs with these organizations. So that's what we're trying to tighten up here. And I think it's an opportunity for us to just work on that. The scheduling, for me, is the main thing. It's not necessarily the MOU, it's the scheduling and making sure we are there's a balance here. It's the people that actually reside here in Frankfort and Franklin County, and then it's the agencies that need training. So if we, I'm okay with the MOU, I think we need to look at the schedule is the main thing. I don't know how anybody else. Commissioner Unger.
Yeah, I agree with some of that too, because there are people in the community and people visiting that just are not comfortable with gunfire and the sound of gunfire like, you are. So part of me would also like to maybe see blockouts for like big Saturday events even, like, Bourbon on the Banks. And I don't think that'd be hard to do, but, we know we're going to have a lot of people maybe on the riverfront or right downtown that might make some people uncomfortable. That might be another option for blockout dates.
Commissioner Smith-Willis.
But didn't you say at the last time that you were reporting about some of the facts for the shooting range, if we blocked it out on a high volume evening, I feel like the volume downtown would cut out the sound of the shooting range. You see what I'm saying? Because I think he said when he took what was the tool that you used downtown?
The decimeter.
The decimeter, and you said that people, like when cars were driving by, the volume of the gun, like you couldn't really necessarily hear it. So I feel like personally I would want it at a more quieter time of the year than with a high volume event, because I feel like we still probably wouldn't hear it as much. That's just my only thought process, just thinking back to how you reported about the sound, vehicles, traffic, foot traffic, contributing to the echo of the gun range downtown. That was my only flag.
Commissioner Richardson.
So I like the fact that it follows our ordinance in the noise ordinance, because I think you're going to really skew some times. I think that fits nicely. Part of the other issue, how many weapon systems, Chief, does every officer have to qualify on?
We have less lethal shotgun, we have pepper ball, now taser is considered a weapon system. We have, our duty rifles, handguns, your backup weapon that you carry, we have to qualify on that. And then when we start getting into specialized units, I mean, we have a sniper team with other rifles. I know that.
How often
I'm
does our
missing
SWAT
something.
team qualify?
4 times a year.
Okay. So if we start limiting that time, we're limiting the window even, you know, I understand we're not in January, but it gets dark around 5:30. So we cut that off at 9. Depending on how many people, there's going to limit the number of people, especially with weapon systems. There's multiple weapon systems, just our agency that Chief pointed out. Again, I'm in favor to following the city ordinance, the noise ordinance.
Any other discussion? Is this something we need to vote on? Because you said something, City Attorney, about us thinking about the fees. I mean, is that something you want us to come up with at this meeting to vote on?
No, you all don't have to come up with it tonight. If you want to discuss it tonight, when would we need to, I guess that would mean we would pass it.
I don't know, Chief Napier mentioned that if we're okay with it, he's just gonna send it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if not, if there are things you all want to change, then I think we probably need to be prepared to make those changes at the voting meeting so that we can get them out. You guys can tell us the changes by the voting meeting.
If nothing on the voting meeting, then it's okay to go.
Right, that would be it. So, yeah, charging in hours.
Yeah.
If you all want to think about it, want to discuss it at the voting meeting, we can hold up a week. And then, yeah, and then we can send it out after that.
And the voting meeting is next Monday this year because Christmas is on.
Yeah.
We're making it a week early on December 15th. Yes, Commissioner Richardson.
Remind me, did the state police just turn over an armored vehicle to the PD
Actually, we're transferring it tomorrow.
tomorrow? And it's called, what's the name of that vehicle?
It's a Lenco Bearcat.
Lenco Bearcat. Tell me, brand new, Chief, what that would run.
Anywhere, depending on the options, between $300 and $500,000. for a piece
They're
of armor.
655, I just was at the IACP
Well,
conference.
they've went up.
They're about 650, depending on how you hop it up.
Right.
That vehicle can be used to rescue not just our officers, but people in our community and all that, right?
Yes,
So the state police just gave us that piece of equipment.
yes.
Okay, thanks.
You good, everybody?
Good.
All right, thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Next on the staff reports, we have Sean Pickens with an update on East Frankfort Park and the construction going on out there.
Back again. Good deal. So this is as I mentioned before, last time I updated, this has been a long-awaited project, and we're going to wait a little bit longer, which I'll explain here real briefly, but things are coming along nicely. We ran into a little snag with asphalt. The weather turned on us. It got late in the season on us, so the asphalt has been delayed until the spring, out of our control. But springtime, spring 26 rolls around, they're going to be beautiful courts. Some of these pictures you've seen before, I'm going to flip through these real quick. This is some before shots of the area where they're going to be there at East Frankfort. So the courts they'll be the 6 pickleball plus the added tennis in the back. Those are the old lights that were there moons ago. There's the old sidewalk that used to be there and the part of the parking lot and overlooking the area where the courts are going to be. Again, there's another shot of the court area. Sidewalk. This is an old basketball court, what it used to look like. There's a couple sections of the parking lot. There was actually 3 sections of the parking lot. There were some really old, overgrown islands, that used to have some old landscaping in there. We removed those because when we build these additional courts, we're gonna need the parking. We need the parking in that park really bad anyway, with the youth baseball and softball, where people are parking in the grass and down the road and everything else. So we had to have the additional parking, so we freed up some additional parking here. Those have since been paved over. Then we're gonna hopefully reseal the entire parking lot as well this spring as well. So these are the new sidewalks that were put in a couple months ago. ADA access, sidewalk leading down to, there'll be individual entries into each of the courts. So there'll be individual, so people won't be crossing each other as they're entering and playing. So they'll have their own basically private access to each of the courts. Again, there's another shot looking back the other way. This is where the courts will be. This is the gravel pad that was laid. This had to be rolled multiple times, very compacted. That way the asphalt over the years will hopefully hold up the best that it can. Asphalt obviously over time will wear out, but having a good strong base and foundation is very imperative. So this had to take some time to get put in correctly. So there's a little closer up shot of it there. Basketball court, same deal, the tennis court, foundation put in and allowed time to compress and rolled over multiple times. That water fountain's been there, but that'll be enhanced with these new courts that are going in. So that'll be a half-court basketball. Just not enough room to put a full-court basketball. As you can tell how tight that is. Right there's the parking lot, then the water fountain, and it's already up against the was just no way to put a full-court basketball court in there. These are the new lights that were installed. These are Musco lights, Musco lighting, top of the line. These lights will outlast everybody. These lights have a 25-year warranty, and they'll last much longer than that. So they're a great light. All the big football stadiums, Alabama, Georgia, they all have Musco lighting. UK, this is top of the line sports lighting. Flip a switch, they come on like you're walking into your bedroom. It's not the old style where you flip them and you have to wait 15 minutes for them to get bright enough for you to see. So great lights. This is the reason why we were a little delayed on getting the asphalt. These had to be manufactured. Musco, when you place an order, they manufacture them right then when you place the order. So they're not just sitting in a warehouse and you get lights that were built 3 years ago. When you place the order for what you want, they build them for you right then. So it was about an 8-week lead time to get those lights, which just kind of pushed us, late into the season, and then they had to be installed. So there's just a couple more pictures of them, close-up pictures of them there. The plant board installed brand new street lighting right there. That parking lot's there to your right, and then the courts will be over there to the left. So that'll be all new LED lighting there to light up the parking lot for security. So that's a great addition. So the plant board did that work for us, and we're very appreciative of that. And this, again, these are the pictures from Juniper when they were renovated last year, or 2 years now. So the new complex will look similar to this. May not be the same color, but this will just give you an idea of what the new complex, will look like moving forward. And then this is just a zoomed in. This is basically the layout of the court. So you can see the six courts there. There's the sidewalk I mentioned going down the top with individual access to each one of those courts, and then the tennis court on the end, and then the half-court basketball there on the right. So. Planned completion, as I mentioned, is in the spring. We were really hoping to get them done by now, but with the weather turning, we just ran up into it. The asphalt plant's closed on us, and so I'd say we're 75% complete. Next steps is to put down the asphalt, and then once the asphalt is placed, they'll add the netting and the post and put in the fence, and then they'll come in. The last thing they'll do is they'll come in and put down the color coat system and lay out the courts and all the finishing touches. And then we'll be ready to rock and roll. I anticipate May-ish, give or take. Don't hold me to that, and we'll have hopefully it'll be beautiful weather, and we'll have a ribbon cutting and invite all that should be there that's been involved. So,
Commissioner Unger. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. I know I'm excited, and many in the community are too. I know how that traffic flow can be when leaving like a baseball game.
Yep.
What kind of safety precautions are we taking for, like, if there's kids playing basketball and that ball rolls onto the road?
Yeah.
Or also, you know, people can, and I myself, you know, my kids can distract me. I'm driving through the parking lot. There's people leaving their cars going to either side to different courts. What can we do through that parking lot and on that road to make it a
Yeah,
little bit
we're gonna
better?
add fencing along that section of road there to divide the
Awesome.
the basketball court with the road.
Great,
Yes.
great.
And hopefully, we've been working with Public Works as well, and down the road, we'll want to scoot that road over a little bit too, away from the basketball court, is in the future plans as well. And we reworked that whole section right there coming, that's a bad area Greg knows very
Oh,
well.
I know.
You know, that
Yeah.
going down through there. So,
Okay,
yep.
okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Commissioner Richardson.
Looks great.
Yeah,
One
we're
question.
we're excited about it. This I mentioned to you before, this is
Yeah.
just step one for Frank. Well, it's really phase two already, but this is phase two. We've got big plans for East Frankfort and insurance premium tax bonding. We've talked about in the past year or two. We got big plans for East Frankfort, and this is just the start. So,
All right. I guess the lighting, I guess my question originally when I saw that was to cover that area, but with the lighting, that would make it a little, then you couldn't use it at night, right? So,
yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, I'm thinking about something I don't even know. You're the expert there.
Cut, like
so-
making it indoor.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whew.
yeah. I know. Just forget that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Looks great.
We got other areas we can maybe do an indoor.
Yeah.
Everybody have all their questions or discussion out of the way? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yep, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next under staff reports, we have Sarah Anderson and an update on the solid waste RFP and where we're at on that.
Hey guys, so the RFP for solid waste collection services went out today. It's on our website, easy to find. You go to business and bid opportunities, okay? So it's out there, it's live. It's open through January 6th when all bids have to be turned in. I'll just kind of go over the highlights for you. Of course, there's all the legal mumbo jumbo, sorry, at the beginning, but you get down to page 7, and there's a section for residential collection base proposal. So this is the absolute minimum that the responders have to provide. Basically, it's garbage collection once a week, bi-weekly recycle collection, and for both of those, we want 2 price points. We want a price point if it's municipally billed, and we want a price point if it's billed directly to each residential customer. Okay, then there's a section following that with alternative and additional proposal items. And that's where we get into weekly recycle, bulky item collection, roll-off containers for municipal purposes. Like, think about when we had the flood, right? And we had to scramble to try to figure out how we're gonna get our hands on all those dumpsters and everything. And then the option to purchase some or all of the city's fleet. We also allow for them to make any suggestions that they see fit. I mean, this is what they do for a living. This is their bread and butter. So there may be things that they think can help us out that we're not even thinking of. So that's the meat of it. Like I said, proposals are due by January 6th. Yep. And we hope to have something to discuss with you in January.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith Willis has a
I also just want to say thank you for providing this information and getting that out. I'm excited to see kind of the responses that we receive. And just for clarification, once we receive things back, of course, for the community purposes, that's why I'm asking the question. When we receive these RFPs back, are there things that we can take out of the RFP for recommendations and maybe future planning if some of the responses that we get doesn't fit our community? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so whatever responses we get back, we'll have the opportunity to pick whichever pieces we want, whichever price, whichever price points we want, whichever services we like. We have the opportunity to meet with the responders, to negotiate. So yes, I mean, if there are things that are presented in there that are appealing to us, we can look at that. If it's not, we can leave it out. And yeah, I mean, a contract will have to, if this is the route we go, ultimately a contract will be drawn up with the selected responder. So we'll have an opportunity there to really nail down exactly how we want things to function.
Thank you.
Everybody good?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, under staff reports, we have Emergency Management Director Ray Kinney with the flood response update.
Good afternoon, all.
Hello.
No fancy PowerPoint tonight. So it's been a few months since we've been in here to talk, so I wanted to give everybody an update. We have continuously been working on the spring flood. We're about 8, going on 9 months now from the April flood. Historically, number 2 on the chart for the April flood and 11th for the February flood. A massive amount of water. Everybody saw it. I was trying to think of a good way to explain it. The Kentucky River is 255 miles long. Even on our city website, we talk about how much watershed there is. 41 counties, lots and lots and lots of square miles that we collect water through. We're basically on a big gutter system running through Frankfort. And we are protected by the North Frankfort Flood Protection on downtown side, finished in 1969. South Frankfort finished in the late 1990s. We're very lucky to have those two significant structures that channel water through town. So we fared a whole lot better than the 1937, the 1978 flood. And if you want to look at the total damage, and that downtown did not get flooded, and South Frankfort, the whole part didn't get flooded. With that said, when we looked at the flood for April, we were estimating about 700 structures were going to be impacted on the inundation models. When we looked at that, all the little areas coming through town, starting up in Mulholland area, all the way down, all the way to Swallowfield and Paul's Grove. So our office does city and county work. The OC runs combined with the city government and the county government, any other entity that would have an impact with the flooding. So we're not just geared towards city because everything in the city is a county. We are the state government, and we run a lot of operations in the town for the state government, so they're a big partner in this. The last couple months, I think Rebecca, she's taken the brunt of this, has been in the recovery section. So we've been financially trying to get all our bills together with finance, plan these projects. Sewer got hit really hard. Fire department got hit hard. Parks got hit hard. For our government, we're still doing a little bit of road repair for the county government. Our roads really didn't get really strongly impacted by the flood. It was up, down, a lot of cleanup. So a lot of bills with solid waste. Every city and county department was involved in this flood. The FEMA folks came in. We did get a declaration signed, and we've been working the last couple months trying to collect all those bills, get them all put into FEMA portal. Rebecca's been working on that as an applicant agent for the city, and plan these projects. This flood is going to be years in recovery. We're going to be building, moving, collecting information for probably years with the damage done to the sewer department and all of their infrastructure. With just us, the city, we've also got on our list for damages, County Fiscal Court, their big hit was the courthouse. Frankfort Housing, a lot of damage over there in the Walter Todd area. Frankfort Independent Schools had damage to 2nd Street School and over in Bell Point, their facilities. Paul Sawyer Library had significant damage. Thankfully, we've removed them from applicant agent status because the insurance is going to cover them. Frankfort Plant Board is still working like we are with a lot of infrastructure damage, and they're looking to mitigate and do a lot of planning to help raise electrical standards in a lot of neighborhoods reroute wires, do a lot of work that way. Peaks Mill Water had some damage out at McDonald's Ferry. First Baptist Church on St. Clair, we got them in this year, new to us. Houses of worship are now considered a nonprofit and can get FEMA assistance if they are a legitimate nonprofit, have bylaws, all that good stuff that is legal with the state, and they've got insurance and they exceed their insurance damages. So we got First Baptist on St. Clair involved, and Kentucky River Authority. They're another applicant agent for our side. So all these entities work with one of our liaisons, Brene Hill Smith. She's a great partner, and she's working with everybody to get everybody caught up, stay up to date, get this paperwork turned in, and then hopefully we'll get reimbursements for a lot of damages. So we've got a lot of planning. The sewer departments, we've got a lot of work ahead of them on that side. And all of this is under what we call public assistance side. Now that helps protect governments, recover damages for government facilities, the expenses, category A and B for emergency protective actions and cleanups, debris removal and such like that, recover those money. On the other side, we have individual assistance. Well, almost everybody saw a FEMA coat after we finally got FEMA in here. We ran the DRC up at 827 Louisville Road, and we had 522 valid individual assistance registrations. They've got 8 to 10 different categories that people can get assistance through. And as of the end of September, we were close to $10 million in payout for Franklin County residents. It goes back into helping them under the FEMA. A lot of that is the privacy protected information, and so we don't get specific data per persons. No idea how much insurance has been paid out. Talking to electric company today, Frankfort Plant Board, we still have between 50 and 60 meters not hooked up. So that means there's a structure that doesn't have a meter. That kind of balances out with the number of proposals for buyouts on homes. It could be a garage that doesn't have a meter back. It could be a business. So we still got those people out. Talking to the Commonwealth Housing, which also helps work with our individuals, we're down to 4 families that are still displaced that the state's helping support. 4 families with 11 total persons, way down from the 100 that we had. There's still some out-of-county folks who are staying in Franklin County from surrounding areas. They've just housed them here because we've got a higher hotel situation than some places do. Moving forward, we've learned a lot from this event. Well, every event's different. We've had a big hit the last couple of years. We're going to continue in my office to push out lots and lots and lots of weather information. This year on forecast looks to be a lot like last year, which means it's going to be a lot wetter. Going back through historical data, almost 90% of our floods happen December to March. We don't have a lot of vegetation out to suck the water up. It hits the frozen ground, it runs off in the river, and it gets shot through town. So we have a whole lot of 30-foot floods. The 48-foot floods, 45 to 48-foot floods happen about every 50 years. We could get another one this next week. We just don't know. Weather patterns don't promise anybody anything. We're going to hope to do a lot more information with property owners, putting this stuff out. It's out there. It's been out there for many, many years, but people don't think about floodplain. Going through planning and zoning, knowing where your house sits. Years ago, we started a high water mark signs. We put signs out, just a little sign out, say, here's your watermark. In some neighborhoods, we work with the USGS to put that out. There's lots of information out for people to go to out in public. Know what your house floods at. Talk to your neighbors. Know where you live. If you go outside here and you look up, and I said this in our last meeting, everything above Louisville Road and everything above East Main Hill is about 200 feet higher than downtown. And that whole river basin is that far down. And think about that whole thing flooding. Long time ago it did, or we would have been up top. So USGS offers a lot of services. Water alerts are out there. You can sign up for information if you're along the river. or Elkhorn Creek. You can get daily, hourly updates. All you gotta do is sign up, it's free. You can just punch in Kentucky River level and get updates at any time you want. Flood insurance, big thing. You know, years ago, FEMA pushed this out, flood protection. I can't say enough. Talk to your insurance agent, know about what coverages you've got. Everybody in Franklin County got 15 inches of rain, lots of basements, lots of low spots, not just along the Kentucky River. So, you know, we can't put enough information out in our planning phase to prepare now. We're in December, January, February, March. It's going to be a little while before we get back into that, again, safer category. Saw one flood in May and one flood in June that were significant, but most everything has been during the winter. Anybody wants to reach out, they can contact me at the office. We can do individual information if we need to. We'll put more stuff out on Ready Frankfort. The city website's got information about flooding, planning, zoning at the county. If you're out in the county, we'll stress that too. So I think that's kind of where we are. We're in this really weird recovery phase. We're not building anything yet. We're not got any money yet. We're still trying to collect everything.
Commissioner Richardson.
That was my one question, Ray. We've not to date received any reimbursement or funds that what you said we were out, right? Correct?
Not for the FEMA recovery.
The FEMA
for
recovery, okay.
4864. And to my knowledge, not for 4860. There's
Okay.
been
Okay.
kind of a weird thing going on with federal government with FEMA. It's still there, but the writing's on the wall for us to better prepare ourselves financially with insurance or whatever means we can.
Do you know, and maybe an Amber question, about how much money, just a spitball, how much money we were as a city that we were expecting reimbursed?
I've not tried to tally up anything.
Okay.
Rebecca's still going through all those numbers, our
Okay.
costs, our actual costs that we were out for cleanup, for emergency protective actions. The good thing is, when we first had this flood, the state did what they did, an emergency declaration, and the federal government gave us an emergency declaration, and the state paid for a lot of things right off the bat. You know, those MREs, the water, search and rescue teams, incident management teams, a lot of things that we had initially, the law enforcement that came in and backed us up, the fire departments that were on standby, that was all paid for through Kentucky Emergency Management.
Yeah.
So that's kind of shifted over there. It's still a state responsibility.
I'm not.
And
laying it on-
I don't have a number.
I know, I'm not
I mean,
laying that on you.
I'm thinking-
I'm curious because, again, that affects our budget. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I just want the public to know that, you know, a flood, a 50-year flood or.
And the split on FEMA is that they're going to go with insurance first. So if it's covered by insurance, so we worked with Sean a lot to separate, see if the insurance was covered. And once insurance is exhausted, we'll get the deductible plus overages with a certain percentage. The federal government pays 75, the state will pay 12. We're going to be out 13% if we get max payout. We can have additional monies under the mitigation of a direct project. So I mean, it's just really in this weird, I can't put a number on anything.
Okay.
You know, I would easily think maybe $50 million just right off the top is kind of where we're going to for the city.
Yeah.
And then the county's going to be a whole lot into that, and, you know, all these other agencies are going to add up. $100 million wouldn't surprise me at all just on the government side. And that's not getting into the state costs.
Yeah. Okay.
Commissioner Smith-Willis.
And in terms of better planning, you know, I know money is a huge part of this conversation, but have we, and forgive me if I've missed it, but I know all of us have been reached out to just from people that were affected. Have we talked to the residents that were directly impacted about how they think that we've responded as a city to be able to better plan future-wise and just to like make sure that we're aligned with if and when it happens in 50-plus years, how can we respond better in terms of leadership, emergency management, to scoop in, to, I guess, jump in when it's needed by the residents? Because I feel like we haven't really compiled that information, but once again, if I've missed it, forgive me.
And we have talked to Jason, talked to Blair about doing a public survey, if you want to call it that. There's been a lot of word of mouth. the outsiders looking in, the FEMA folks who've come into Frankfort, have been very impressed with how we handle this. There are a lot of governments that don't work as well as the judge and the mayor and fiscal court and the city of Frankfort did on this thing. And we were in the EOC, we were out of the EOC. We continue to do a lot of things together as a combined group to make this really successful. The FEMA folks were really, really highly impressed and said it doesn't happen like this. Our outside support from CARES, our non-governmental agencies like the Emergency Food Pantry, there's probably 50-ish different entities that helped out, and not including the out-of-county, out-of-state folks who came in here. So we have talked about a survey. I hope we can do that. You know, surveys will give the people who want to participate an opportunity to say something. Good thing is I've not received a whole lot of negative things. You know, we see a lot of positive things. People are going to be frustrated. They're going to be out of their homes maybe forever. We've still got a lot of vacant properties downtown, Bell Point, South Frankfort, going out Big Eddy, Travis Circle, all the way out. We've got a lot of homes that aren't occupied, a lot of people displaced. Also, business, you know, working with the business side from, you know, all the way out, 420, coming in East Main, or West Main, and then Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace was hit really hard, almost 800 people. We've been working with them with their water gauge stuff so that maybe they will be better prepared because, you know, this was pretty phenomenal jump from April 2 to April 7. That water, you know, it rolled in. We knew it was going to happen, but not how much. So yes, you know, we would entertain any kind of thoughts.
And I didn't mean to say that to dismiss the work that was put into it
Oh,
by
no.
any means
No, 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 no.
necessary. I 100%, you know, we were all frequently together during the flood. I just feel like it would be almost imperative at this point while we're also looking at the money that was put out and, you know, waiting on funds to get back. I think it should be almost equally imperative just to get a gauge on the community that was directly impacted. So when and if it happens again, God forbid. But we just kind of have that feedback from the community that were displaced that, you know, is still dealing with it long-term wise. So that's just maybe something that I would really appreciate to see is just that getting out to the community. I mean, because it was, what, 10% of the population that was affected, correct? Or
So, you know, everybody's affected.
Yeah.
This flood got everybody in Franklin County, got everybody in the state. It got everybody. How much impact more greater downtown along the Kentucky River, Elkhorn Creek, Flat Creek, all those creeks, there's, you know, a whole lot more direct impact. You know, we had major roads blocked, we had businesses shut down, we had schools shut down. So, you know, everybody was impacted. How much? I know we sat in the OC, you know, we're trying to remember, focus not only on the folks along the river, but our entire county and our government that we had shut down, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to ask about the survey too. Somebody had mentioned that, and I think that, you know, we could, I don't know if we could use frankly speaking or some other just to get people's input on that. And also, I've had somebody say that they also wanted to know about the flood relief fund and you know, where those funds are going. And yeah, I want to get it out there that people can go to the CARES Coalition website. There's a flood relief application on there because somebody mentioned that they didn't know anybody that received funds. Like, there's an application out there, and if you know of anybody that has not received it or were denied for some reason, you know, let us know. But as far as I know, everybody who's applied has, well, I can't say that for sure because we don't distribute that money here at City Hall. That money is being handled underneath the Bluegrass Community Foundation. But just go to I Googled Frankfort CARES Coalition flood relief application, and it came right up. So I encourage people to do that as well.
And I can only press that if you still have problems, and that people are going to have problems, I know we have 4 families still displaced, people's homes aren't there, they can still ask for help. You know, we built that CARES group to help support everybody. And we know we jumped right into this food insecurity situation. The emergency food pantry's been there, finances being what they are. We know people are suffering. Again, that we don't go from planning to recovery to response. It's all intermingled, and it keeps making this circle, and we keep coming back to it. But we have people who will be out of place for, could be years.
Commissioner Richardson.
This is a good time to remind people to go to, is it Ready Frankfort?
Ready Frankfort app.
Yeah, because, am I right, Ray?
We've got a Ready Frankfort app.
There you
and
go.
The Ready Frankfort Facebook, I hate to say, we keep going to social media. Facebook, unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it, seems to be the way that we still have the best way to put information out. Fiscal court and the city of Frankfort, when we share stuff, we share it together. We ran a joint information system, and we used the mayor and judge to lead all information, and we worked together and we shared that jointly. Not my office, not their office, not his office, her office. We shared that so the same message would go out. We're hoping to move forward with some additional communications things coming out, but that's where we are right now. It could be X, it could be T or Y tomorrow, who knows? Just stay up late. The social media is what it is. Great relationship with the radio station, Cable 10, and State Journal. I can't impress how many local partners we have and how many regional Lexington and Louisville people we had that worked with us. My phone was blown up with different reporters, sending those to Blair, and we worked with our news agencies in Lexington to get a bigger message out. So, try any kind of way of communication we can.
Well, I wanted to point that out because you made a good point in the beginning of your speech. The weather that's going to happen. I just want to I'm just going to use COVID. When COVID hit, but right before that, I went on Amazon and I got a dozen drinking straws that I can suck it right out of the river. Point being is it's important to prepare for emergencies. And I would encourage the public because although government's here for you and we can do this, but you need to go to Ready Frankfort and prepare yourself. And I would, drinking straws. I bought 12 of them.
Well,
I got enough
I'm glad
for
you
some
said that
of us
because I
here.
kind of printed this off. Emergency operations, we operate off community lifelines. You might have heard that. If you were in any of the EOC events, we did that every day. Safety and security of our community. Food, hydration, shelter, our basic needs. Health and medical, we had health department there with us. Energy, plan now to be cold this winter. The plant board, Bluegrass Energy, KU. Water systems are on there. Communications are on there. So, multiple ways of communication. Hazardous materials are on there because even dirty water is bad for you.
Bad for you.
Getting in it or drinking it. And water systems. So, yeah, those are key things that we work for in our office every single day. Last night it was transportation, snow and ice. This weekend it's going to be cold weather. So, all these are just daily things that we look at every day. I kind of think about it every day and share what we have to when it occurs.
I do want to point out, Mayor Jeremy Brown spoke very highly of Ray and his crew and everything we did here in Franklin County. I deal a lot with transportation in my job, and I know those folks over there were very impressed with both government entities and how we got along and what we did. Now, I get it, we can't make everybody happy, but I can tell you that the state was very impressed, and I think we benefit from having that agency right here in our back door. I know Ray has a great relationship with Jeremy and all the people in incident management over there as well.
And we do. I was texting this morning, Michael, Daniel, and now Michael D's over there. Those three guys texting this morning. Are you all out? What are you doing? State partners are taking care of us. And so Michael Mitchell was right there with us, giving us updates. Not always sitting in the EOC, but they were there daily. So big deal when you're flooding and you're blocking off state roads coming through town and trying to get those closed and get them reopened, get them cleaned, and the repairs. So we've got a great relationship with those guys. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Ray.
the
Thank
update.
you.
We'll move on to discussion items.
Our first discussion items, we have a snow removal policy proposal from Matt Newton.
Hey, Matt.
Hey. All right. Now, instead of talking about liquid water, we're going to talk about solid water.
I was going to say, how timely,
We're just going to switch it. So, our goal is to essentially maintain the same levels of service we are maintaining right now, but to prioritize and kind of organize it into a plan that says, hey, Matt's not sitting in his desk, Sarah's not here anymore, whomever it may be, could come in and say, okay, this is what I should look at, this is what I should prioritize, this is how I should move forward. So we want to minimize how much time and money we're spending on our snow routes. It's great if we can get to every route, fast multiple times over and over again. But at the end of the day, we do need to take into account other aspects of our roadways and time and management. Our goal is we want to prioritize our major routes. So if I have a route that has a higher traffic volume, I have 100 cars versus, maybe 2, I'm going to focus on the routes that have a lot more traffic, have a lot more potential for having incidents, and have a lot more potential for causing, any issues from the weather. So we want to make sure those routes are safe and efficient. We don't want to have routes that are, constantly covered in ice and snow, but we also have to keep in mind that we can't necessarily get every nook and cranny of our roadways. So an issue that we necessarily came across was ran out of salt. We had to buy more salt. Salt's expensive. If you're aware, the budget for salt's a little over $200,000, so it's not cheap. We need to be very careful about how much salt we use and where we put it. We don't want to just salt every road just for the sake of saying we salted the road. So the plan, the routes as designed would be focused primarily on emergency primary and secondary routes, which more or less align with our pavement management plan in some ways. For example, the emergency routes, King's Daughters Drive, Doctors Drive, Leonard Wood, areas that are going to get you through your hospitals, schools, nursing homes, areas that you need to keep clear because you're going to have ambulances and fire trucks constantly going down them. You need to keep them clear and accessible at all times, regardless of what the conditions are. Then we're going to move to our primary routes, which are going to be our main thoroughfares through subdivisions, through commercial ways. Basically, the goal for primary routes is from A at the main road to B far back in the neighborhood without branching off. So like I can get to the back of my neighborhood without being encumbered by snow or ice. And then our secondary routes are going to be any area that branches off from a main route. In terms of parking, emergency routes no parking is going to be permitted, which won't necessarily be a huge issue in Frankfort as King's Daughters Drive, Doctors Drive, Shango Lane. They don't necessarily have a lot of parking anyway, so they're not really being encumbered by a no parking rule. In terms of our primary and secondary routes, we emphasize you can park there. If we have a major snow event, just keep in mind that if you park on the road, you might have your car covered with snow. That's not necessarily something you can do. You push it off to the side, and if you're in the street, it has to go somewhere, unfortunately. And staying on par with most places, residents are responsible for their driveways and sidewalks. I had the pleasure of being in Michigan for the holidays, and I was actually impressed. I was driving out of the city on my way Sunday after it snowed. Every single person was out shoveling their driveway and their sidewalk. It was actually kind of impressive. Good on them. So moving on to salting our roads. As you know, we use a lot of salt, which can be a good thing, but you do have the propensity to waste salt if you don't salt properly. So we need to consider, what mixture of snow are we getting? Are we getting snow and ice? Are we just getting a nice dry snow? Like, what is falling? Do we need to put salt down, or can we kind of put less salt down, or keep an eye on what is actually coming to us? Temperatures during and after. In case you didn't know, the lower the temperature gets, a massive decrease in the effectiveness of salting. In the Minnesota manual, for 1 pound of salt at 30 degrees Fahrenheit, for example, you can get 55 pounds of ice melt or removal. Versus if you drop down to 5 degrees to 25, it drops down to 14 pounds. Significant drop off as the temperature goes down. So we have to consider, is the salt actually going to be functional, or is it just going to sit on the road and be crushed in? You get a white road because it just gets crushed on top of the asphalt. Expected precipitation and snow levels. If it's gonna rain before it snows, you might as well not put salt down because it's just gonna wash off with the precipitation. Another thing not listed there is wind. If you have high levels of wind and you put salt down, it's just gonna blow it off the road. So we need to be cognizant of what the weather conditions are. Is it windy? Is it raining? Is it just gonna snow? Is it gonna sleet? We have to keep in mind what the factors of weather are to adequately put salt down at rates that are acceptable for the conditions. To the right, you'll see a chart. This was also pulled from the Smart Salting Manual from Minnesota. So when you put salt on a road, you're not just impacting the road. Yes, salt is horrible for roads in general, but you also have to keep in mind when that salt runs off, it's running into vegetation, it's running into other things, buildings, a whole bunch of other things that when the salt comes in contact, it starts to deteriorate it. So this graph shows that although a pound of salt could cost $74, in the long term, it could cost anywhere between $1,700 to $17,000 over time when you consider the impact the salt is having on the environment and the infrastructure you're placing the salt. So it's very important that we keep in mind and very much pay attention to how much we're salting.
That's why I don't use salt on my driveway. Don't mean to interrupt you, but I mean.
No, you're good. Benefits, so some benefits to kind of prioritizing our salt loads or, routes. We can minimize required maintenance on vehicles, on our trucks and plows. If you're not plowing nearly as much consistently and you're kind of just paying attention to certain routes, you're not gonna blow as many blades, you're not gonna cause as much deterioration on your trucks, and you can minimize, impact on your equipment. It says reduce rate of salt consumption. If we're paying attention to what we're salting, when we're salting, and actually paying attention to how it's being applied, we can reduce our salt consumption on the roads, which will be better for everything, including, roadway longevity, environment, pretty much A through Z. An issue that we can have when we have long storm events, particularly, overnight, when you have people that have to work shifts that are greater than, 12 hours. When you are working for more than 12 hours driving a truck, typically you get tired and you can get sluggish and, causes proper damage because you might hit cars, you might break up more curbs, you might do this, that, or the other. And that ends up leading to workers' comp claims, if something happens. So we can reduce a lot of these things if we're just more cognizant of our routes, how long people are working, you can kind of cycle people in and out. And that's not to say we're not gonna do it. That's just to say sometimes we need to prioritize certain areas first. I have two examples, not necessarily all encompassing, but I think they'll get the point across. So in a snow event, this is kind of the order that would go. We would start with our emergency route, make sure everything's clear. Then we would move on to our primary routes through our neighborhoods, make sure everyone can get out of their neighborhoods safely, everyone can get to a main state road or whatever road that may be. And then we'll move on to the secondary roads if we don't think that will melt off. For example, if it's gonna be sunny and the temperature's gonna go up to about 35, 40 degrees and it's gonna melt off, well, there's no purpose in plowing the road off every side street if we know it's gonna melt off. And that's not necessarily a hard 35 in terms of temperature, right? Because if it's not sunny and it's windy, all right, we'll have to take into account the forecast of, is the real feel sub 35? Will the snow actually melt? Which brings us to, if it's not gonna melt and it's gonna get more than 2 inches, we're just gonna do it, right? So the only thing that would be impacted is if you have 2 inches or less on a secondary street, and we think it's gonna melt the next day based on forecasts. If we don't think that snow's going anywhere, we're gonna do our emergency route, our primary route, and then we're just gonna get all our secondary routes. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And that's the gist of it.
Commissioner?
I just want to say thank you. Every time I come to a commission meeting, I learn something totally new. So thank you for the full download on salt. Had no idea it was that damaging. It can create a long-term effects on the roads. So thank you for breaking it down for me. Is this just a proposed plan for moving forward for removal policy, or is this just
this particular presentation is kind of probe what you guys think of us moving forward with a policy similar to this. Mm-hmm. So I would consider it a baseline. Cool. Of where we're thinking of going.
Follow up. I appreciate it, and I really like what you presented. I think my only concern is just the aesthetics of it. I feel like the community would still be like, whether or not it's gonna melt in the next day or so, right. People are still feel like gonna be a little leery about it just not being removed. So that's really my only pushback on it, is just how the community would receive it. But I do think it's a really good plan in terms of sustainability and making sure that we're being fiscally responsible and not putting ourselves in a
Right.
pickle before we get to the pickle, I guess you could say.
And a caveat to that would be, okay, next day, it's not melting, it's been X amount of hours, do we want to go in and just take it out? You know, did the forecast we thought didn't come true? Okay, well then let's go out and take care of it. So there's a few caveats I think we can
Yeah.
work in there.
Just like today, we woke up, I didn't know it was going to do what it did this morning. I was like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. So I appreciate the full presentation. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of where we can meet in the middle on this. So thank you.
Commissioner Unger.
I just want to say thank you. I think this is great. I would love to move forward and just know that we have this policy in place. I appreciate the breakdown of this. I think the only real question I had was, how do we sort of train staff about the salt use and functionality moving forward? How does some of that look for us internally?
That's going to require just research on our end and just sitting them down and kind of giving them the broken down details of how to do it. And it's going to take salt calibration. You know, going around to our trucks, coming up with a way to calibrate how much salt we're putting down, how fast it's coming out, how wide it's being spread when we're going in our swaths, and just kind of doing a large internal training transition, so to speak.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner May.
Matt, thank you so much. I love, diving into the minutia of how you're going to get things going. My question is, who's going to make these calls? And when are you going to make this decision on what route you're running? You know, so it's like going to bed last night saying, I didn't check the weather. Didn't expect to wake up to that, but you all have to be on top of that
Right.
all the time, and your men and women are showing up to work, ready to go.
So thankfully, we have Ray, who does a great job of getting forecast information out really early, and our superintendent, Daniel, is always on top of it when it comes to keeping up with the weather.
Right.
So in conjunction of just staying on top of it a couple days in advance, I think we can do it fairly well.
Is it a decision that's made by a supervisor, or who makes that decision?
Currently, it would be the superintendent.
Okay.
Obviously, if we needed to adjust who's making the calls and kind of revamp the hierarchy we want to use, we can look into it. But traditionally, it would be between the superintendent and emergency management.
How much is changing from what you already do?
Right now, not really much at all. The only event that really changes would be if we just get a 2-inch or less snow. So if you're getting a greater than 2 inches of accumulation throughout the city, nothing is changing. The only thing that we would really look into changing is the amount of salt that we're putting down.
Gotcha. Well, I just want to say, I think Frankfort does an amazing job. And we're very fortunate, again, driving around other communities and seeing what they prioritize. And I really think Frankfort's lucky as far as our snow removal process. I've always lived on a major thoroughfare, so maybe some people listening, they're might feel differently. But I've always seen it taken care of very well.
Yep, and our goal is to keep it that way.
Do we currently have a snow removal policy in place? Okay, so now is
Yes,
this something?
this is the
are we
initial
to
policy.
adopt this at
Yeah,
some point,
so
like
it-
the pavement management plan?
Yeah, so this is the initial framework.
All right,
So-
yeah, this is well thought out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so to kind of piggyback on some of this stuff, and I said it to a bunch of you, and Matt and I talked about this, and everyone in this room, we're not all always going to be in these same seats. And what we found out in the city of Frankfort is, and I've been a long-serving employee, is you learned it from the guy that's been here 20 years that retired, and then when that guy retires, you start losing that train of knowledge. And having these policies in place kind of lets everything roll forward and everyone moving into the new seats. Matt's, been here, what, year and a half, 2 years coming up?
Yep, going on 2 years next month.
And so when he comes in, now he's not just overwhelmed, he has these policies to study, go through, and keep Frankfort moving like it should.
Yep.
That's kind of where we're going with a lot of these
And
policies.
the positive about policies, they can always be modified as needed.
Right.
And you answered it, I think, with Commissioner May. It's the major changes. It's 2 inches or less. If it's 2 inches or more. So right now, if it's 2 inches or less, we're just salt. We're salting and plowing all the secondary roads as well.
Yes.
We're always going to do the emergency and the primary,
Yep.
no matter what the snow.
Those routes will always be done regardless of snow
And
accumulation.
in all cases, we're going to use less salt.
Yes, that's the goal. Yep.
Commissioner Richardson.
One thing I want to add is our staffing that drive our snow plows, they're pulling double duty as well as our sanitation. Am I correct to say that?
They do work a lot of extra hours during storms, yeah.
So this policy will help with that efficiency of making sure someone is not working or driving a truck for 18, 24 hours. Am I correct?
Correct, yes. The goal would be to be able to rotate people on more or less 8 to 12-hour shifts versus
Yes, and I
extended.
want to point that out because that's so important. I don't know what the overlap is. I'm assuming they have to have CDL to drive the snow plows. So, and I know we're sometimes limited on that. So again, I just kind of want to point that out to the public because a good example was it last week? I think my garbage was a little late. I got the app. I want to push the app out. The app is great.
Frank Waste.
Yeah, there you go. But having worked in the city, I knew what was going on. I don't think maybe a lot of our community think that's a whole separate entity, crew that maybe I don't know. But I do want to point that out, that it is efficiency, safety, all of that this policy is being enacted.
Commissioner Smith Willis.
I also just want to add, last winter when we had that really big storm, snowstorm, I live on a very tight street, and I just appreciated when he plowed the street. I never got his name, but he genuinely wrote on the window and he apologized because he had nowhere to put the snow. It was like blocking my driveway. So I grabbed my shovel and I did the big girl thing, but he just apologized. He said that I don't have nowhere else to put it. So I just appreciate just they're trying, and I appreciate them doing their job, but also just being really generous about it. So I appreciate it.
And it's worth noting that if you get any questions about residents, for example, if you live off on a side street, that's not necessarily off a main route but it's a steep road, that will be included as a primary route, just because of slope, so if that comes up.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Thanks
Matt.
again.
Didn't mean to interrupt you about salting my driveway, but I'm not salting my driveway. I don't want to replace my concrete.
Item number 2 under discussion is the Workers' Compensation and Medical Insurance Reserves Fund. Amber Moreland.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Glad to see everybody on this snowy Monday. Believe I have a little bit of good news. So our HR director, Kathy Fields, notified us of some excess funding in our workers' compensation and health insurance medical reserve fund. So these funds have been sitting in an account kind of earning interest year over year, and they've accumulated quite a bit. Currently, that workers' comp reserve is $3.2 million. A healthy reserve is 1.5 to 2. Staff is recommending $2 million, which would free $1.2 million in that workers' compensation to be put in our rainy day funds. The medical reserve funds has currently $2.5 million available. We are recommending setting the reserve amount in that account at $1 million, freeing $1.5 million for a total of $2.7 million available to put in our rainy day funds. We're recommending that the Finance Committee determine where those funds could best be invested. And, that goes along with, do we want long-term investments, short-term investments? Are we going to use the money quickly, or do we want it to continue to earn interest? And
All right, that is good news.
yeah,
Anything else?
yeah, very good news. Yeah.
Any other-
Good news.
Turn more of the.
Yes.
I just want to add, though,
Yeah.
this is not an annual
This
yearly
is a
thing, right?
one-time finding.
Okay,
Yes.
but this is good.
It's exciting,
I don't want to
yes.
put no negative
Yes.
on it.
Yes, Commissioner Smith Willis.
Well, I just wanted to say shout out to Kathy.
Yes.
That this is a really good fund, but also shout out to you, Amber, and the finance team for really kind of presenting a really good recommendation. I am not on the finance committee, but I'm looking forward to hearing the determinations behind where we're going to put this money at. But I think it's fantastic. I think it deserves a clap and a good win. So thank you to staff for really paying attention and locking in, but then also presenting a really good recommendation. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Commissioner May.
All right, I gotta ask, how does that happen? And how do we make sure that we don't over or under moving forward?
So I believe historically, an account was established and it has just been accruing interest.
Okay.
There are stop loss fails, so we have insurance claims, we have ways to cover those workers' compensation and health insurance. So it's just been accumulating interest in the account that it's in. And now that it's built up quite a bit, we have the opportunity to move the funds. It could happen again, it just needs to be monitored closely.
Gotcha, okay.
Yep. We could establish a policy if it gets above 500,000, that's the cue to move those funds into rainy day or whatever policies the finance committee establishes.
Great. Thank you all for finding it. Thanks for
And
your
this
work
is
on it.
similar to.
Thanks, Kathy.
Yeah, thank you. And are there any other accounts that are restricted?
She found one last year as well.
Well, I know
Last
of
year, year
one
before.
that we could look at but that's another.
Yeah.
But this is similar to what we did with the minimum fund balance or rainy day
Yes.
fund. We set that 3 month, 3 months of expenses minimum. So that gave us the, I guess, permission to, free up some of that money to make investments or to purchase capital equipment, make investments, and because you don't want too much money sitting around. We
Exactly.
need to use that for the public's benefit, or they would say, give it back to us if
Yeah.
we're not going to use it. So I think this is a good thing. If you all needed us in the future to set some kind of fund minimum on the workers' comp or the medical reserve, let us know. I'm trusting that you all, what the histories or the stop losses are on this, that you feel good about this, right?
Yeah, I'll just add that we receive annually a simulated workers' comp premium and estimates for what our anticipated liabilities could be. So we can we can look at our historical spends and that data, but we can also look at information we get from the State Division of Workers' Comp, where we get that information annually, so we can feel pretty good about it. We're not even just taking that information internally, but we're using experts to provide that. And as Amber mentioned, we have catastrophic coverage on both our workers' comp and our health. So we kind of know when that catastrophic coverage is going to kick in for us. And it's wise to keep some reserve up to that point, but after that point, we got coverage, so.
It's like a deductible. We have money set aside for our deductible, and the rest, the insurance is going to cover it, and no sense, yeah. And then, in terms of the Finance Committee, which Commissioner Richardson and myself are on it, I think this is something where, some of it could be used for a project or capital expenses that were, there's a couple things there, and we could set some aside as well for the future, because we have enough in our minimum fund balance now.
We do.
Correct? We have more than
We do
enough.
have more than enough, yes.
So we could set even more aside, or maybe we can do a little bit of both.
Yes.
It's good news. And
Good
I hope we can
news.
get
Thank
some
you.
Good press out of this.
Very nice. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully, huh?
All right, next we have the Parks rates for 2026, a discussion with Sean Pickens.
Dang it, no, I'm sorry. Trying
You
here.
might want to use some of it.
Oh, yeah, we could spend it. We could spend it. Mentioned we got big plans at East Frankfort.
Well, I was waiting for the whole staff to start looking at each other in the back.
Oh, we were. We were.
That happened at the staff
Yeah, we were all
meeting
like,
this
is this a good time to ask
Can we
for?
ask now?
Good deal. All right. I abbreviated this from our last meeting, so not all the slides from last meeting's here. Just wanted to hit the high points from our discussion from our last time we discussed rates. So again, these slides are just the ones that we're recommending to increase. So just a real simple $5 increase here for practices. Our games and tournaments remain the same. This is extremely industry standard. And for our facilities, we feel like this is a very fair and where we should be. Tennis and pickleball programs, again, just a very minor increase here. As I discussed at the last meeting. The $10, just a reminder, the $10 from rookie, it was originally free, just trying to get people into the program. Well, now pickleball has gone through the roof, so everybody kind of knows about it. But this is mainly just to kind of stop a lot of no-shows coming, so we just add a little bit to it there to try to take care of that. Aquatic Center, season passes, we're no change to those is what we're recommending. We are wanting to add a morning pass for water aerobics, so from 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. to the 11 o'clock public swim time. That morning programs where we have a lot of people come in to they don't necessarily want to pay for the entire day of the pool, which they can. Their season pass, if they want to pay $100 or the $150 if they're a non-resident, that does include the morning programs, but a lot of folks just want the morning. They don't want to be there in the afternoon. So we're adding that pass for $60. So then this slide, we're recommending no change. I know at the last meeting, we had discussed a little bit about the private rentals. This current year that we're in, from 2004, we were at $625 for non-residents, and then $575 for Frankfort residents. So from 2024 up to 2025, that's where we were, $1,000 for non-residents. So it was a significant jump from $625 up to $1,000, and then $750 for our Frankfort residents alone. Okay, and that's a $175 jump from 2024 up to 2025. So for this year, we are recommending that there be no change to that. However, if you guys feel like, if you're interested in bumping that up, we would consider that if that's something you want to address. We can come back to that if you'd like, or we can talk about it now. Okay. Golf course, lovely golf course. So we've met with staff. I think Jason has met with some of the commission, and we've discussed these. We've decided to make no changes to the golf course rates moving into next year. So 2025, there would be the same number. So we're proposing no increase there. Same thing with the golf season passes for greens fees and cart leases, as well as the special event outings. This is basically a $2 discount, $2, $4, and a $6 discount. The more players you have, you get a $2 discount up to 100 plus there. So quick abbreviated there, and I'll take any questions or suggestions you might have. One note on the golf course, like I mentioned, we were going to say we're going to make no changes. We are looking at several internal efficiencies that we can improve on. That we've met with Amber on some things, we've met with Jason, and we've been discussing some in-house things that we can do to increase the efficiencies at the golf course and take a deeper dive into various different aspects. So,
A quick question before we open it up on the pool private rentals. When do we sell those out? Usually by what month?
it varies a little bit, but typically by March-ish, we're sold out for the season.
Beginning in Memorial Day on?
Yes. June and July, we have night rentals 5 or 6 days a week. Yeah, up through when school starts back, and then we just have them on weekends.
They open the 1st of January.
Yeah, we start selling them the 1st of January. Yeah.
Right, by March, it's sold out. I mean, I would argue to raise that rate, and I know we just did.
Yeah.
But if it's in such demand, not to
I'm
get
supportive.
as much revenue as possible, but really,
I agree,
it's
yeah.
the economics. Yes,
Yeah.
Commissioner Richardson.
I sensed a tone. Okay, tell me, that's what your thought is, right? We need to raise that.
The pools and animal, it's quality of life, and
I get
so.
that, but quality of life comes
These
at a
are-
cost.
Oh, it comes at a cost. Yeah,
These
we
are
definitely.
private rentals. These aren't,
Oh, yeah. The private rentals, I've mentioned this to you before, they're very expensive for us to put on. And it kind of, you got lifeguards working all day, then they have to work the night shift as well. So they've got a 10, 12-hour day, so it gets a little hairy, especially depending on what kind of group you have. So it puts a lot of stress and strain, on the staff. And you're dealing with teenagers, and they're like, I got to work till 9, 10 o'clock at night in the summertime. So it gets tough to find staff. So a lot of times it's the same staff working them over and over and over again. So
So
they're
my
good
next question would be,
revenue
What do
generators.
you
but-
think we should rate? I mean, what is, you know more than, as you quote, I quote you, industry standard?
Well, that's the problem with this. It's all over the board. Just for example, Scott County is $1,200 for their night rentals for residents and $1,400 for non-residents. But you go to Versailles, which it's a smaller pool and a smaller complex at Versailles, it's only about $350 for a private rental. So it's really all across the board. So where we're at now is kind of in the middle, so there is some room to expand there. So, I mean, our original thinking was, we made a pretty sizable increase last year. This year, originally we were saying, let's just soften the blow, but expenses are going through the roof. Pool chemicals are out the wazoo. Staffing, it's hard to get lifeguards, so we got to pay them a little bit more to keep up with McDonald's and Wendy's and Walmart and everywhere else they can go work. So, $100, $150 range. We increased to $175 from 2024. So.
Here too, do I hear too?
If the private rentals help us keep the costs low on the basic daily admission, and we're not raising those rates.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that
Didn't we say
and we could see how it goes and see if it doesn't sell out if it doesn't sell out, then we know we need to lower it again, but
Yeah.
I think, but I'm open to hearing what everyone else is saying.
We can, you can either make a recommendation tonight on what you'd like it to see, or we can come back at the voting meeting next week and,
I thought we said 1,200 last time we talked, but maybe I'm just thinking of numbers. But I could have swore that's something that we spoke on.
Go to my notes.
I didn't bring the proper notebook
I believe 1,200 was
today.
mentioned. My question would be, do you want to raise it, if it is a $200 raise from the commission, is that on both Frankfort residents and non-residents? We just raised $200 across the board.
yeah, that was another reason. Thanks, Alex. We added some more stringent policies. The clear bag policy was one of them, and that was, people got used to it.
I got a
but
lot of pushback, didn't it?
We got some pushback. However, the staff loved it. And it did slow down some problems that we were facing
Okay.
with allowing large duffel bags to come in with all kinds of stuff that you don't want around your kids.
Got it.
Well, is this, just pulling back a little bit, is this the only rate that we would have that we'd want to change, or are there any others that we need to talk about?
Yeah.
Or-
I think I'm good across the board besides I think the pool's the only one.
And is this one we want to, so we're going to vote on this next week, right? That's the plan. Unless there's an objection, or several objections, yes.
Okay.
Commissioner May?
One question, I'm sorry I didn't ask you before
okay.
we got into this. Do we know roughly, you probably know what I'm going to ask, that what it costs us to run a pool on the hour? And I guess,
lot.
what are the variable costs, your employees, your chemicals are the more use you have, the more people in there, the more chemicals you use.
Yes.
So that all varies.
Weather
but
makes it vary.
do we know roughly, can we have a spitball number on what it costs to keep the thing running for an hour? Because I'm just curious, if we're renting it for 4 hours, but like, what is that costing the city to pump the water and staff it?
Yeah, more
Then are
more
we
than
getting
$1,200.
It's like
Right.
a flat fee of 1,200. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just kind of curious.
That's a real hard number to nail down because
Yeah.
every day is different. If it's a sunny day, the sun hits the chemicals and
Okay.
basically evaporates them out of the pool. Or if it's pouring down rain, that happens. And staffing, if it's a cloudy day, we got less staffing, less pool. So we could get an average.
Right.
But that's a hard number to nail down, especially with a seasonal operation as it is.
Right. Do we reduce some of the variables just because it's at night? We know it will be a little less. You have more of a consistent sun,
Yeah.
at 6 o'clock on.
Yeah, it's basically the same expense to run it at night as it is during the day.
Okay.
Even if we had a private party for 25 people versus 600,
Yeah.
we have to have the same amount of staff there. Lifeguards, we have a few less of the deck staff, yes, we can do, but we still have, state regs recommend we have to have the same amount of staff there. If there's one person swimming versus 600, we
Okay.
gotta have the same amount of lifeguards. It's a little ridiculous, but it is what it is.
Okay.
Commissioner Smith?
Do we know if any other local municipalities charge by the hour around us that we could look at, just like for like an average, just to, since he said spitball, I would be curious myself, but I don't know if any other local municipalities in Kentucky around us are doing that or have switched to that to kind of just get a general idea to see how it goes.
Yeah, all the pools, aquatic centers that I'm aware of or familiar with, for, at least for the most part, you know, they just have
Flat fee.
they just have a flat fee.
Got it.
Yeah, and it's all, like I said, it's all across the board. There's not a lot of aquatic centers either, you know, that are, you know, comparable to us, you know, but, we're middle of the road. Like I said, most Shelbyville for sales, you know, they're around $350, $375, but their facilities are smaller and they have less staff and whatever. Georgetown, by far, you know, is the most expensive. So,
Is something we want to decide on tonight, or we can work on it through Jason in between now? We'll plan on voting on it next Monday, right? And then between now and then, is it?
yeah, we'd really like to have it by next Monday because we start, January 1st is when we usually start selling items.
Not to put anybody on the spot, does anybody not want to raise the rates on the private? Or is it too soon on the private rentals?
I want to raise the rates.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes, Commissioner Unger.
would you recommend an amount that we bring both non-resident and resident up? You know, is that 100 more each? Or, you know, if there's a staff recommendation to bring it up a little bit, then I would support that, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Everybody good with a $100 raise?
At minimum,
On
at
for-
minimum.
Yeah,
For
for both.
residents and for non-resident,
Right.
non-residents,
Correct.
Yeah.
$100?
On
I'd-
both sets.
private groups
Alex
can
works the
afford it.
aquatic center a ton. I would say at minimum 100 for residents and 200 for non-residents is what.
Okay.
Okay, what about
Yeah.
200 for residents and 200 for non-residents?
200 for non-residents.
For both?
200
Oh, across the
200
board?
across the
So make
board.
it 1,200 non-resident, 950.
I don't know, I
I
still
just
think we
think
keep our
these-
community a little bit.
All right.
I just think these, most of the private groups can afford it. I mean, that's why they're renting it. They can afford it.
And most of them rent it, 99 rent it as resident because they'll use whatever address.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to,
So almost all use resident,
Yeah,
Frankfort
that
residents.
was gonna be my next question.
Because there's enough of them that one of them's going to live in Frankfort.
Got it.
yeah.
They just use whoever's.
Yeah, typically our night, are residents anyway. We don't, our out-of-town users are typically your school groups, you know, or someone that just happens to be driving from, you know, for sales or Georgetown. We may get a few of those, but typically it's county residents.
Does anybody want to go higher than that?
I think it's
I don't
important to point out that if anyone in the public, if this is printed, looked at, read, the pool, it's a quality of life, the aquatic center. So I'm just gonna say it, it's not a huge moneymaker.
Yeah.
If-
It's similar to the golf course in a lot of ways.
And
A
we're
lot
all
of
for it,
expense.
I would assume here, but we need to somehow or another make sure that it's not losing more in every year, right? And it would seem to me that these private rentals are pretty high commodity. Especially if they book up by, what did you say,
March.
March,
Typically.
yeah.
Crying out loud.
Yeah,
Can you scroll back to the fees again?
for the
For the pool, yeah,
aquatic center, those,
yeah.
okay.
So we're not raising anything else besides the private rental, correct?
That's what we wouldn't recommend raising any of the others. We're on the higher end of all those in surrounding communities. And a lot of those are your kids and your senior age groups.
Do we limit?
You know how I feel.
Do we limit the number of people on private rentals, or is it just the max?
600 max is,
600?
That's the
Yes.
maximum people that could be at
that's
the
the
pool?
capacity of the pool at one time. So 600 is our max. We don't typically have 600 size parties. We do from time to time.
We ask them to estimate, because
Right.
we have to plan for any between 200 and 600 for private parties.
Yeah.
And what are the hours for private rentals? It's the
2 hours,
2
7
hours?
7 to 9.
7 to 9.
7 or 9? Okay. I'm up here researching some other cities. It's a pretty good deal that we have.
1,000
Yeah.
resident,
There's a city here that
up
doesn't.
to
they-
50 each.
You
Just
can't have
throwing
more
that
than
out there.
25 people.
Yeah.
Same
Can't have more?
You can have up to 25 and
Oh.
that's it.
Yeah. It's all across the board, depends on the size of facility and.
I mean, we can always change it, so I mean,
Well, that's true.
I say let's just, I say let's try it, and then if we see that we don't book back out in that same time frame, I would say, I just spoke out of term, I'm sorry. But I do think that it's worth entertaining.
200 each or 250 each? Anybody want to go 250? I don't know, I'm not an auctioneer.
We got an auctioneer
Make
going
it
on
up.
here.
Commissioner May, do you have a preference?
I feel better at 200.
All right. Matt Richardson? 1,200 for non-residents, 950 for residents, and we can go with that as a placeholder until, and if anybody, we sleep on it, everybody thinks about it, maybe if you want to change it, city manager can,
Yeah.
we're planning on it, 200 on both, see how that goes, and maybe if it still sells out in March, then we know, okay, we can look at that again, maybe it sells out in April.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
well, good.
Somebody will
Sustainability.
win it. You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Thanks, Sean.
We talked that one through? Thank you, Sean.
Good deal. That's what work sessions are for, right?
Right. Proactive, we're being very proactive.
The last discussion item, we have a proposed volunteer time off order and amended ordinance from Kathy Fields.
I feel like you deserve a gold medal.
Oh. This concept is a pretty simple one, and it's one we've been thinking about for a while, and it seemed like some with the recent food drive, and just here we are in December, the season of giving, it seemed like the perfect time to kind of talk about volunteer efforts in our community. So this proposal would be a new ordinance which would take just a single reading, and it proposes that all full-time employees would receive 8 hours of paid volunteer time. It has to be documented, it would have to be volunteer time to serve nonprofit, schools, charitable efforts in the community so that our employees are engaging in the community and helping to better the community. We're also mindful that we are fairly time off rich, so we're looking at a way to kind of balance it with this proposal. We already have blood donation time on the books, and we also have voting leave on the books. So this proposal would incorporate voting time and blood donation time within this 8 hours that are allocated per employee. It wouldn't be time that is paid out annually. It would be just a new 8 hours every year where we're hoping that we're going to get some engagement from our employees and really things that are meaningful to them, take them a little out of their workspace to do something different and benefit our area. So that's the concept. Any questions?
Commissioner May.
I love the concept. I think it's great. My questions are kind of pertaining to potential staffing conflicts or shortages and making sure that there's something written in there to where it's not a guarantee.
Perfect question. So it actually says that it can't conflict with work-related responsibilities, create the need for overtime, or cause adverse staffing conflicts. So it is built in to provide the opportunity for a manager when they receive that request to say, sorry, but I can't do it this time.
Right. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith,
So much, I'm sorry. So for instance, and I'm talking through an example out loud, so I'm understanding, and then if somebody that's watching is curious too. So say for instance, like Mr. Jim Jackson earlier with the food pantry, and I was an hourly employee, and I wanted to contribute. Is it a set 8 hours, or can you just use 3 hours, and then that, and like, per supervisor approval, that's how I could utilize that VTO, correct?
It's a full 8 hours per calendar year, but it can be used incrementally. So if somebody wants to use some of it to do their civic duty and vote, and they, one of the things that we're maybe hoping to achieve is right now you can take up to 4 hours to vote, but it rarely takes a person 4 hours to vote. So somebody may just choose to use 30 minutes or an hour of that time, which leaves them a larger block of time that they can use to do good in the community. So it does not have to be one 8 hour block. You can use it incrementally, but it's built into the same system that people use for vacation time or sick leave. So you can see those hours and how many are available and how they're being used.
And it does not roll over.
It does not roll over.
Commissioner Richardson.
love this. It's
Oh,
great.
yay, good.
But I guess I'm curious, is HR gonna keep up with, is this gonna be a time slot? You see what I'm saying? I mean, how is this time gonna be kept up with? Like I love Commissioner Smith-Willis' example. I go to the food pantry, I volunteer 3 hours. I still got, I still have 5 hours. Is that something HR will keep up with on their time cards or?
It's going to be handled electronically, so the mechanism to handle it pretty easily is there. An employee would need to request this in advance, so rather than choosing sick or vacation, they will go into the system and choose volunteer time. And when they choose that, they're going to document in the note that will route to their manager. It says, I'm going to serve at the shelter, or I'm going to serve at this school. They're going to say what they're going to do on that given day. The manager can review it to be sure that it is actually an activity within Franklin County. It has to be within Franklin County as well. And then they can approve it. Once it's approved, those hours drop out of the bucket. So it's pretty automated. I don't anticipate it creating administrative burden on HR, but thank you for asking.
Well, you remember when I worked here, we hand wrote everything.
I do remember that. I do.
John May.
Are there any examples of other cities around here doing the same thing?
I can't say that I know of that. This is not an unheard of benefit, but it's not super common. So to me, it's another way just to be proud of our unique offerings and what we're doing. And I also want to mention that we're seeking to balance this by kind of rolling in that blood donation time and the voting leave all into this, but it gives people more opportunities for how they can use this time.
So the blood donation time would be incorporated. This is part of that. You don't get another day for blood donation.
Correct. Those things are coming off the books. This is going on. So we're looking to kind of balance that amount of paid leave, but this actually gives people more ways that they can use it.
Sounds like another innovative benefit that the city of Frankfort is offering its employees, and we're on the cutting edge, right?
There you go. Yeah. So, no questions?
All right, city attorney.
Just one quick thing to let anybody know, if their employees listening, we're not taking away their statutorily given voting time. They will
Got you.
get up to 4 hours if they choose to do that, so just so everybody knows.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you,
that.
city attorney.
That's why you're
That's
here.
why you're here, man. I wasn't even thinking of it like that, but thank you.
Thank you, Kathy,
Thanks, Kathy.
Good
Gold
stuff.
stars, gold stars.
bringing us money today.
Well, that takes care of the business. Move on to the discussion of a tentative agenda. Sounds like we have parks rates. Are we going to vote on the snow removal policy?
No, that won't be until January, I believe. Matt won't have it ready yet.
Okay.
Okay.
I know we have some life insurance taxation that we still have to do. We're going to do that by the end of the year for the, and then maybe MOUs for the shooting range, maybe not, depending on if anybody has any changes. Is there anything else that we're missing? If not, we can, well, there's no unfinished business. How about some new business? Anybody have anything that needs to come before the board? I'll open it up for board comments. Anything anyone would like to add? Commissioner Smith-Willis.
I just have two, technically. I just want to remind the community that December 12th is the deadline for survey responses for the Singing Bridge. I am encouraging everybody to just get those responses in, because I think it's imperative that, we have a voice in the design and the rollout of the new singing bridge. So I think that's important just to put on everybody's calendars. And then I personally, from the conversation earlier with Ray, I would love to really, I understand that everybody was impacted, but I really would like to, try to somewhat get a temperature on the people, everybody that was impacted, just to get feedback from the flood, because things are going to happen. I just think that it would be, their voice matters in something like this. So I would like to just see a survey or something roll out soon.
Anybody have an objection to that? No. All right.
One clarification on that. Would you all like to see the survey before it goes out to tweak any questions, or would you like us to just send that survey out?
I would like to see it. I think it could be a very, vague is not the word I want to use, because I know everybody was impacted, but just more so like to identify how were you impacted, in what capacity, and then just from there, like feedback. And I know we cannot make every single individual happy, but I do think it's imperative to leave a section for them to tell us what they would like to see in the future from us as representatives of our community.
We have a rough draft ready to go. We will tweak that, send it out to you all this week, that way y'all can review. We can get that out as soon as we can.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Anyone else? I would, but in January, maybe at the work session, if we could get an update from Jennifer in transit about what I would like to know is, of all the bus stops that we have, how many do not have benches, how many do not have shelters, and then what would it take to get the benches and the shelters in terms of a dollar amount or whatever regulations. And then also, somebody had mentioned about the bus fares again, if we could revisit that, just how much revenue we get from the bus fares and what's our policy there. And I guess somebody mentioned the Franklin County football team earlier. I think we do need to recognize them. Second consecutive year being a state finalist, didn't win the state championship, but obviously a very good season, so congratulations to them. I was there for the first half on Friday night at Kroger Field. It was cold, and a lot of Frankfort people there too, so keep up the good work there.
Go Flyers. Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor of adjourning, does we get a second on that? I
I was looking,
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned, and we'll see you next Monday, the 15th.
I heard y'all.